Today's webinar brings you, this is an informative webinar, Mastering the India College Admission Process. We are thrilled to have you all here today, especially the parents and students of 12th grade who are gearing up for one of the most crucial phases of their academic journey. College admissions in India can be a challenging process, but with the right guidance and preparation, it can also be a rewarding and empowering experience. This webinar, brought to you by the Chintels School in collaboration with Mindler, is designed to help you navigate this journey with confidence. Today, we'll deep dive into the key aspects of Indian college admissions, including effective career planning, building a strong resume, mastering interview techniques, and strategies for excelling in entrance exams. So get ready to take notes, ask questions, and engage with our experts. Before we move ahead, I would like to introduce our coach for today, our speaker for today. Today's speaker is Sana, Miss Sana Jamal. She is an assistant manager and a senior career coach. She is an internationally certified career coach, counselor, and soft skills trainer who has guided and trained hundreds of students and teachers across India. She's also a trained peer supporter and has undertaken UNESCO recognized action projects in the social sector. She holds a UG and a PG degree in psychology from Lady Shri Ram College for Women and University of Delhi, respectively. She also holds a PG certification in criminology. Sana has always been passionate about psychology and education. Her skills, knowledge, and ability to empathize has helped her guide hundreds of students to make informed career decisions and find their right career fit. So we once again welcome you all, and over to you, Sana. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Urvi. Once again, a very good evening to all the parents who have joined us and also the students who have joined along with the parents. So, like Urvi mentioned, the entire process of from choosing courses to apply to the colleges your child will go to can be very tedious, but we also know it is one of the very crucial decisions that has to be taken in the career journey of the students. And while we interact with thousands of students all across India, and there are a lot of times when I have also personally with my team interacted with students in school in Chintels as well. One of the major issues or gaps which students face is wanting to or trying to handle too many things together at this phase, because the next few months are going to be very crucial. We know that there is boards, there are pre-boards, there are practicals, there is the entire college applications coming up as well. So why we decided to have parents as well on board to understand the key nitty-gritties of this entire process, the major steps, and to also understand that how you can leverage into the resources, the help, the guidance from experts as well. Now, before I go into the detailing of the entire process, I have some quick questions for all the parents and the students as well who's joined us today. Now, how many of you have already made the final list of universities to apply to? So, all the 12th graders. Quickly, just raise your virtual hands up, or you can just write a yes in the chat box, students, if you're here. Parents could also write on behalf of the students. How many of you have made the final list of universities to apply to, for the colleges you want to go to after 12? Okay, I see a couple of hands being raised. Others can also use the chat box. I still don't see any responses in the chat box. That gives me an idea that not a lot of us have already worked on the list of universities to apply to, because I don't see responses in the chat and I also only see a couple of hands being raised. Okay, another question specifically for parents. Parents, how many of you are aware and take regular updates from your child in terms of what courses and what colleges they are willing to apply to, where all they are wanting to apply and sit for entrances, and which all universities for what courses they want to go for after 12th? So parents, you can just write a yes or raise your virtual hands up if you're aware about what your child wants to study and where all do they want to study. So the universities they're willing to apply. So have you sat with this with your child to have that conversation and you're aware what's the progress like? Great. I've got a couple of yes in the chat box, but still not a lot of yeses. Okay, now this makes this session, this webinar, and our conversation even more important to understand that okay, what are the major steps and how this timeline is going to be very, very important. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, both students and parents, that when we talk about the entire application system in India in terms of college admissions for after grade 12, we are talking about multiple routes and multiple ways through which admissions are given. So gone are the days when most of the admission process used to be through merit, when even universities, even central government universities like Delhi University and all, people used to wait for 12th board results for their cutoffs and then see which universities they get through. Now we are talking more about a more diverse range of admission process and also a more hybrid range of admission process. So quickly, can some students or even parents, if you're aware of, what are the different ways in which colleges in India are taking admission right now? Let's see how many of ways we're already aware of, and then I'll quickly throw some light onto what are the major ways universities are taking admission in. Whichever ways you're aware, students, parents, you could, together write in the chat box quickly. Skill based, okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Danishka. So when we're talking about skill based, I think if I'm not wrong, you're referring to profile based admission, which a lot of modern universities, liberal education universities are taking as well. Mr. Aviral, cutoff system, 10th and 12th score, sports quota, great. That those are some ways. Scholarships and profiles. Scholarship is something you can apply for. That's not a way of admission process, but yes, if you want to apply for either merit-based scholarships or otherwise, need-based scholarship, you could always apply. A lot of universities do offer scholarships. Great. Okay. Now, these are some of the ways. If we divide the major ways, so one is, of course, merit. There are still universities which might be taking admission on the basis of grade 12 marks. A lot of universities today in India are taking admission through entrance. But the most important way, which we forgot, that entrance-based admission is what a lot of universities are following. Even a lot of, central government universities which have now started taking CUET, with more and more universities taking that, but also understanding the process of how to apply for CUET, what universities to select, what courses to select, how to check the criteria, how to go about filling the application form in itself is what I've personally seen students struggling with, then where they need help and guidance. Now, apart from that, like some of you mentioned, skill-based, profile-based. So we are also talking about universities which are not just looking at one aspect, but multiple aspects like your academic journey, your extracurriculars, co-curricular activities. To a lot of times they might ask you to write a statement of purpose, essays, letter of recommendation, so on and so forth. So as a more holistic process as well. There are also a lot of private modern universities which will follow a system which is more of a hybrid process. So yes, they will have an entrance test for which might be their own entrance test or some central entrance test for certain courses, after which they would also want you to appear for something like a panel interview or a one-on-one personal interview or micro presentations like universities like Christ to have, right? So that is also a hybrid mode which is there as well. Now, apart from that, if you're wanting to apply to any special category, like some of you mentioned in the chat box, like a sports quota, ECA quota, there is a separate application process for that as well. Now, with so many different ways to get into different universities and colleges, we understand that navigating this entire Indian college application process could be a little tricky for students a lot of times, to be able to figure out what courses to apply where, while navigating the timelines along with a lot of other things to handle. Now, moving ahead, what things do we need to keep in mind while we are going through the entire process? After you've decided that, okay, these are the major courses I'm going to apply for. So these are my plan A, plan B, plan C, which I could be going for. The first thing which is very important to keep in mind is the application timeline. Now, different universities will have different application timelines, which they will announce for themselves. For a lot of universities, especially liberal education universities, the applications have already opened. Their early decisions, early application, dates are there. Some ended, some about to end, and then following their different phases: admission, phase one, phase two, and so on and so forth. A lot of universities, a majority of universities, application process will start somewhere in December, and this entire thing keeps on going on even till after your board exams have happened. For some of the major entrances like CUET, the applications will open somewhere towards Feb end in March, and the exam does happen after your board exams. Now, what we need to remember, students, and also this is very important for parents to guide the students accordingly so that they're not missing on to the important deadlines, is one, the universities announcing their application timeline and deadlines, and the entrance or the process timeline and deadline could be different. For example, the university might have its entrance or process after your board exam, but the applications might close down much before that, say February, March, April, depending on what entrance you are talking about. So you need to register, you need to apply on the application portal, fill in your basic details, depending on which university, what kind of process it is. If it is, say, an application form for something like a Flame, Kriya, Thapar, Ashoka, Premji, colleges like these, it's going to be more holistic, more rigorous, right? Whereas some other universities might ask you for your basic details and education background to fill. Also, checking the major requirements, familiarizing yourself with the curriculum, the course, the university, the program you're applying for, and whether you are eligible for that specific program or not. Is there any specific criteria, which has to be met? Is there any subject criteria, like is if mathematics is required, do I have maths or not? Only then does it make sense for you to be applying for those particular universities for those particular courses as well. For a lot of modern universities, there are also programs where you don't even declare your course in the beginning. You apply for an undergraduation degree, and after you have taken your foundation courses in the first year, you have that liberty to later tell what your major and minor to be. For a lot of universities, still, you decide your course first. Like, I want to apply for, say, be on a psychology or a BSc economics or a BTech or a BSc. I decide my course, I fill that in the application process, and accordingly, my entrances or my further process is taking place, moving ahead. Okay, now when we are talking about more new age university and the program, changed from what we saw, say, in the last decade as well. Now we are talking about more innovative programs, more interdisciplinary programs, right? If I, as an individual, wants to study, say, psychology and economics together because I am interested in behavioral economics, it's very well possible. I want to study art and history together, I could still go for it. Or I want to study, say, finance and business together, or different domains coming up together. Even fields like, say, data analytics, fields like international relations, fields like even courses like PPE, philosophy, political science, economics are being offered by universities. Another very important focus which we have seen drastically shift in universities is they focusing more on experiential learning. So we are not only just talking about, okay, the curriculum I followed, I passed my exams and I came out of a degree of a university. What I made of that journey is very, very important, not only to for universities to understand my journey before I get admission into the universities, but also after I get that admission, what I'm doing in those 3, 4 years. So the experiential learning part also, plays a very important role. Some of you have been asking about certain programs like exchange programs in the chat box. Even exchange programs which you do in school or which you do in universities is a part of experiential learning, right? You could explore that depending on the area of interest you have and which kinds of programs you're looking at. But you get an edge, or that is being looked into specifically also if you're applying for skill-based admission processes or liberal education universities. Now, any course I want to study today, we cannot say that, okay, I am not studying a course related to technology, so I am technologically handicapped. That's not possible. All of us at some point of other would have used different online resources to even new AI and machine learning tools like ChatGPT and other tools for different purposes, for research, for assignments, to make our travel itineraries, so on and so forth. So technology is being embedded everywhere. We're talking about a world where, whether it is commerce, whether about it's arts and social sciences, there's technology everywhere. Whether it's design, we are talking about things like UI, UX design, product design, to areas like fintech, and a lot of different innovative fields coming up as well. Okay, now when I am actually sitting and applying, now this could be a tricky part for a lot of students, because I've seen students do a lot of activities in school, but when they're sitting and going through the application process, it's still tricky for them to be able to understand how to fill those activities up and what to mention, what not to mention. Even having too many activities could be confusing, although that's a good kind of problem to have, because then that it means that you've taken a lot of initiatives to be able to build your profile. But having something like an activity scripter to be able to understand that, okay, for what university what works, for what course what works, I could have done a lot of different activities. How do I present it to the university? How do I tell my story in my unique way to the university, that I am able to maintain my individuality while also able to communicate that and pass and help the university understand my background, my story, what I want to study, why I want to study that, and what all things makes me interested in those specific domains. So picking up specific areas or showcasing your passion and engaging in activities specifically with a purpose and not randomly is what makes your application stand out from a thousands of others who would have applied. So even when you are writing an essay or you are telling your story, it will be very different from, say, another student or even your friend who's applying in the same university to the same course, because your underlying goal, your underlying motivators, your passion for that domain, or your reasons to study that domain could be very different from others as well. So when you are actually sitting and writing your essays, right, one thing is having a story to tell, and knowing the art of storytelling is an art in itself, right? So how do you present a compelling essay showcasing everything while maintaining your individuality and uniqueness to the university, right? So specifically working on it well ahead in time, not waiting for the last moment, choosing the right specific topics to go about writing it, and also seeking feedback from people who could guide you, right, who could give you specific inputs, whether they are your mentors, your counselor, your teachers, or we can help you if you require help in that area as well. right? So how do you present that is also very, very important. Some universities will give you specific prompts and topics to, write your essays on. Some will have a more generic statement of purpose or an essay where you could talk about your interest and what you want to study and why you want to study as well, right? So that is also something which is there. Even when it comes to activities, there would be some universities which will give you a specific number, like Ashoka will tell you that, okay, there are three activities you could write. Also, choosing and taking specific guidance and help what activities to write and how to combine it in a manner and describe it in manner where you are not missing on to, showing that, okay, you've done so many areas, but also, able to tell in a way that, okay, these are my areas of interest, or these are the major categories in which I have had interest or I've taken initiatives. Well, whether it is leadership, whether it is languages, whether it is other extracurricular activities, sports, debates, anything and everything for that matter. Now, for a lot of universities, even if you are not applying to liberal education universities, even other universities, say from CRISE, Symbiosis, NMIMS, so on and so forth, a lot of universities will hold something like an interview process, right? Like for example, CRISE could also have a micro presentation where they give you the topic and you have to talk about it for 90 seconds for some of its courses. A lot of places there is an interview process. Now, for some universities, the application process could be where you fill in the application, you submit that, you do the interview, and then they tell you whether you're selected or not. For a lot of other universities, you first submit your applications. Only if your application is shortlisted, you are taken to the next round of your interview. And in the application process, there is mostly also a entrance, which is either domain specific or it could also be an aptitude entrance test as well. So when you're going for the interview, remember researching about the university, what why you want to study there, what are the major things you know about the university. One of the very simplest question, tell us something about yourself, is the question we have seen students fumbling in the most, because not because it is difficult to tell about yourself, but yes, it is also an art to be able to tell about yourself, which what they already don't know, what is not a part of your application, in that specific time limit, in a setup where you're already stressed about the interview. So interview prep in itself is also something where you need help, where you need guidance, where you need to practice your responses much in advance, so that on the spot you're not thinking of responses, what could be the major questions and how do you respond to them then and there itself, right? So that in itself is also something which you've seen a lot of students struggle with, even after they've cleared the application part, or they've cleared the entrance part, because that you can prepare and clear. But this is something you'll require to sit with someone, practice, somebody who could give you input specifically as well. Now, when we're talking about the entire assessment, now here an assessment could mean any kind of assessment, mostly what you refer to as also entrance exams, whether it is a domain specific entrance exam or whether it is a generic aptitude test where you are assessed on your verbal aptitude, reading comprehension, quantitative, numerical aptitude, to even areas like GK, from current GK to static GK, right? Now, a lot of students do come and say that, okay, if your main aim is to sit for CUET, there you're sitting for domain specific exam or entrances. That's very true. But in case you are sitting for the general aptitude test for CUET, there also you will be assessed on your major aptitude like logical, quantitative, GK as well, and a lot of other entrances which you should have already sat for before you sit for CUET. Because if you look at the timeline, students and even parents, CUET is going to be happening comparatively towards the later part when your board exams have happened. So you cannot just be dependent on it. You sit for it. Yes, it's a great way to be applying to multiple universities and multiple courses as well. But before that, you should have already sat for multiple entrances as well, even if it is as a backup. So for those, you would require to prepare adequately much in advance, right? Understand the format, practice the sample papers, take external help and resources if required, and also practice not only makes you better at solving questions, it also makes you more familiar to a test setup so that on the day of the entrance, the test, you are not nervous and just anxiety or nervousness is not hampering your performance. Now, students and parents, what we need to understand that all of this is possible to do to the best of your capacity and potential only if you plan in advance, right? Only if you have your course list and university list in advance, you know what all courses, where all you'll be applying for. Only then you'll be able to move to the next step to see that, okay, what is those universities process like? I need to start for my entrances and aptitudes preparation right now. I'm if also applying to universities which require me to have my profile in place. I am combining all of it and adding the last cherries on the cake to have my perfect statement of purpose, or I'm requesting my teachers for LORs in hand, or taking predictives from school if I require, to even going ahead and preparing for, say, group discussions, micro presentation, and interviews. Now, I'll be able to do all of that only when I have clarity that, okay, these are the places I'm going to apply for. And this holds true for whether India or outside, anywhere, right? Now, for this entire thing, this entire process, right? If you're able to do it yourself, great, right? But we're there to help you throughout the entire process, right? But before we move on to that, is there any questions that any parents or students have in reference to what we discussed, or anything apart from that as well?
Sana, we have a few questions in the Q&A.
I'll just,
So Gia has asked, want to join ICAI?
yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see the questions. That's great. Thank you. Um, Great. So, Gia, what is the question? You want to go for professional courses like chartered accountancy and all. So, what's the question? Can you elaborate the question and all? Now, on that, students, even if you're wanting to apply for any professional courses, it's always advised to keep a degree backup, right? Because, see, technically, if I'm going for applying for professional courses, which is going to take me, say, 5 years, 6 years to know that, okay, whether I clear the final stage or not, in case 1%, if I'm not able to clear it, 6 years, 7 years after I pass 12, my highest form of degree would still be, 12 pass, which could be a very big roadblock or a gap, a challenge in your entire career journey. We always advise students to keep a degree backup alongside, even if your focus is a professional course, maybe any professional course, right? Uh, okay. Mr. Abhirup is asking, what are the most promising courses or colleges for a commerce student who studied mathematics only till 10 but has a keen interest in economics and management and aspires to excel in those fields despite the absence of advanced mathematical grounding? Okay, a couple of things. Yes, there will be a lot of universities which will require maths or applied maths as a subject in 11th and 12th if students want to study economics or management, right? But if you don't have it, there will still be universities you could still explore, say from Christ to Symbiosis to St. Xavier's Mumbai, to some courses in NMIMS like branding, advertising, international business, those. That is one thing. But another thing I want you to keep in mind is that even if you have not studied maths, you should be comfortable dealing with numbers and mathematics, and especially stats and commercial maths. Because even for universities which will not put eligibility criteria, the curriculum when you're studying economics at a higher level is going to have mathematics. So you should be comfortable with that so that you don't struggle with the curriculum later. Yeah. But I've listed down some universities for you to have a look at where you'll be eligible to apply. Okay, is MBBS and MBA possible together as a dual degree or maybe NEET PG plus MBA? Okay, Mr. Aviral, two things. MBBS is a degree you take after grade 12. MBA is a degree you do after your undergraduation. So MBA is Masters of Business Administration. The M there stands for Masters. MBBS is a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. The M there stands for medicine, right? And the B there stands for bachelor's. So first you do your MBBS, right? And after that, if you want to do MBA, you will be eligible to do MBA. So one is a degree which you do is a professional degree you do for medicine, you do after 12. And MBA is anyway master's degree. So you will need to have any undergraduation for you to be able to appear for MBA entrance or do MBA. I hope that answers that question. Yeah, so until and unless you have any undergrad, you will not be eligible for MBA.
Great, Sana. So while parents and students type in your questions in chat, I just want to mention one thing. Like Sana very well mentioned, all the points that are really important for your college applications and your college admission. If you need any further support, Mindler is out here to help you. We have a special Indian college application program, which is offered to all our partnered school students at a very nominal cost. I will be putting the details in the chat. If anybody wants any more information, have any queries, just enroll yourself and somebody from our team will reach out to help you and to address your queries. Sana, I think we have another question in the chat.
I think it's an extension of the same question. Can we do PGN? Okay. Now, as per the UGC guidelines, which very recently came, students could be allowed to do multiple degrees at the same time, but we have not seen a lot of students do it. Also, because there is a catch to that guideline, you're allowed to do it only if you're able to, meet all the criteria like sitting for all exams, the attendance criteria, and all for both the courses and universities you're applying to, which is logistically and humanly very difficult, right? So we don't recommend that, right? To do that anyway, whether it is an undergrad or a postgrad level. So yes, what one could explore is do a degree, explore domains. If you want to shift areas or careers, that is a possibility. Or you're taking a full, in-person degree in one area and a different area you are even either exploring through professional certifications or diploma courses or specific certifications rather than taking two full-time in-person and that to professional degrees. That's humanly really very difficult. Online executive MBA, yes, that could be a possibility. Like I said, if one of the degrees is online or it is a diploma or it is a certification, then yeah, you could explore that. If you're able to handle both of it together, you can.
Okay, we had one more question in between. How valuable is a degree in actuarial sciences? What are the colleges for the same?
Okay. Now, when we're talking about actuarial sciences, again, actuarial sciences is a certification that you do, right? So, to be a certified actuary, you have to clear all the 13 papers of actuarial sciences. Now, with time, when actuarial sciences gained more popularity and became more in demand, some universities have also started offering something like a BSc Actuarial Sciences, which is a degree, right? Now, what you need to understand, students and also parents, is a BSc Actuarial Sciences is not equivalent to clearing the Actuarial Sciences and being an actuary. For that, you will still have to clear all the 13 papers. But if your focus is, say, clearing Actuarial Sciences papers, and you want to take a degree alongside, which we will be in sync, like a BSc Actuarial Sciences. Some universities like Amity and all have started offering that. You can for sure look at it. But even if you take a related but a different degree, say something into investment banking, to something into finance, to a BCom, to an economics, and simultaneously clear your actual sciences papers, that also is another option to look at.
Okay, one question, ma'am. What is the pathway for a PCM student with keen interest in international relations and astrophysics?
Okay, now if you're a PCM student, anyway, you will require PCM for astrophysics, right? Now, multiple ways you could go through a BSc route if you're very, very keenly interested in the research domain of it, right? Or you can go through the BTech route if you want to go through the more professional, more technical side of it, right? For international relations, being an interdisciplinary domain, being a domain which people from different streams and subjects could explore, being a PCM student, you could also explore. Yes, you should have interest and some base and knowledge, and interest in areas like economics, political science, to be able to be interested in international relations. So explore the domain, and then you will be eligible to apply to universities. A lot of liberal education universities, modern age universities, will give you a BA in international relations at an undergrad level as well. Yeah. BSc in data science at IITM with actuarial science. Yes, that's a good program to look at if you're interested in data sciences and actuarial sciences at the same time. Data science and data analytics is another domain which has gained a lot of popularity in the last 5 years or so. So if you want to go into core data sciences, then yes, I hope you have mathematics, or you're at least interested in maths and dealing with numbers. Even commerce students with maths, you could also explore areas into data analytics and similar courses as well. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Abhirup mentions
Yeah.
which private colleges in India genuinely provide top-tier education in economics and management, and how can we differentiate these from institutions that in reality do not have quality education despite their reputation? Also, any particular colleges we must strictly stay away from.
Okay. Now, to answer all this question, multiple factors, right? But some of the universities which I even named earlier are some of the good universities you could look at, specifically when it comes in terms of economics management. Sit for COET, apply for the major central level universities, including universities like Delhi University, right? And then in private universities, you could look at universities like NMIMS, CRISE, Symbiosis. You could also, if you're looking at a more modern age kind of a pedagogy curriculum, having a chance to explore interdisciplinary courses and careers with multiple range of major and minors, you could also explore universities like FLAPE, Kriya, Ashoka, Ahmedabad University, Azim Premji, right? So these are the major universities you could look at for a wide range of courses. I think we have more questions in the
Okay,
chat.
few more. What is more intellectual, doing PG from abroad or India?
Okay, now the debate is not about intellect, to be very frank. I'll give you some tips to remember while you are battling the decision about India and abroad. First of all, depends on what you want to study, and abroad, where like everything apart from India is abroad, right? So also depending on what course I'm going in, what country to study. Is that country known for that specific industry, for that specific course, for that job opportunity scope? Also that. Another thing, going outside makes sense if you're going to the good universities, right? don't, I keep telling students, don't go outside just for the sake of going out and leaving India and study in a random university. That's really not worth your time, energy, and money, right? So you apply abroad if that's what you're focusing for, specific courses and countries. You could also apply for India as a backup option if your focus is applying up abroad. See what universities, what courses you're getting where, and then do your comparisons and make the final call depending on a lot of major factors.
Okay. At present, what is a better choice? Business analytics, data science, or IR?
Okay, now when you talk, see, all these three are different domains, right? Business analytics, yes, you will find some universities giving you courses into business analytics. You could also start, say, with a generic BBA and eventually go and work in domains of business analytics or role of a business analyst, right? So that is a possibility. Data science has come up, more recently. It's been there, but in terms of courses, more universities have now started offering data science specifically. uh, International relationship is going to be, I'll put the first two together, and international relationship still different. So first of all, it depends on your interest, your aptitude, what domains you're interested in. If you are interested in stats, maths, making sense of a lot of data, going into fields related to that, then data analytics or data science. If you're more interested from the business perspective, then yes, business management, business analyst. International relationships more very. If you're interested in the social sciences domain of economics to political science to the relationship between countries, how that plays a role, then international relationships. So it's not a battle of different domains. It's also about understanding your interest, aptitude, what you will be able to, perform the best in. So different courses could be a different fit for different people.
Okay. Miss Rati Gupta asks, please suggest some good colleges for law in India.
Okay, now for law students, I hope you're aware if you're wanting to apply for law, this like if you want to study in 2025, the like CLAT, ALED, all these entrances happen in December, and unfortunately the applications have already closed, but you can still look at more entrances and private universities. But to answer your question, so starting with the national law universities, NLUs, right? You sit for CLAT for that. Then for Delhi NLU, you use it for ALET exam, right? A lot of universities in India to take the LSAT India exam. So that's another thing. OP Jindal Global Law School from this year, they have started taking LNAT UK. So if you want to apply there, right, sit for LNAT UK. Then some of the major private universities you could look at and target. Christ will have its own interest called CULEE, it's SLAT for symbiosis, it's NLAT for NMIMS. Then you could also sit for CUET for law program in a lot of major universities, including Delhi University and all. Right? So these are the major ones to look at.
How is the recently launched BS degree of IIT Madras? Is it valuable or IIT is just a tag?
Okay, see, a lot of recently introduced degrees, whether some of them even online, some of them even in person, started by IITs, IIMs. You can look at it, you can consider that as an option, but to actually tell specifically about the degree, the curriculum looks impressive for sure. We will at least have to wait for at least one batch to pass out to see how is the industry application of it, to be very frank, right?
Okay. Pranit wants to know more about NDA.
Okay. Pranit, I hope you're preparing for NDA for National Defense Academy. Now, for NDA, any student from any stream is eligible to sit for NDA. But if you are a non-PCM student, you will be eligible to apply in the Army, in the non-technical post. If you want to apply for the technical post in Army, or you want to serve in the Air Force or the Indian Navy, then you need to be from a PCM background, right? All the major PCM domains, especially math, maths, physics, chemistry is what is being assessed in the NDA exam. So that's what I meant when I said I hope you are already preparing for NDA, right? If you want to sit for it.
Okay, Ashmit Pathak wants to know about IISc Bangalore.
Okay, so Ashmit, what about ISC Bangalore? Like, do you want to know? See, when it comes to research as a domain, if any of you is interested in core research, especially research into sciences, ISCs, ICERs, NICERs are some of the best universities, in India to look at, but also difficult to get into, to be very frank, right? So if you are targeting IISCs, ICERs, NICERs, prepare for their own entrances, right? Sit through it. Your sciences have to be very strong, and these universities are recommended if you are specifically keenly interested in core research related work. And IISc Bangalore is one of the good and one of the top universities and colleges to get into for research. I think we have a question. I'm very confused in choosing my career. I've taken commerce without maths. Please suggest some careers. Okay. Now, if you have taken commerce and you have not taken maths, assuming that you're at least interested in the commerce related areas, even if maths is not a comfort area, a lot of domains within commerce where maths does not play a central role is something you could explore. So even in the fields of commerce and management, there are specializations like branding, advertising, marketing, where math is not as central as a lot of other domains like economics, finance, banking, or data analytics, right? So those are the domains you could actually explore. From like I mentioned, apart from that, if you want to explore beyond commerce as well, a lot of stream agnostic domains like law, to even mass communication, design, teaching, hotel management, all these domains will also remain open for you, irrespective of the stream. So with commerce without maths as well, you can look at them.
Okay. Do any exchange programs have any relevance is what Abhinav wants to know.
Okay, now depending on what exchange program it is, but yes. So when you're applying to especially liberal education universities or even applying abroad, especially in countries like say US, Canada, what you've learned through the process of exchange program or for any extracurricular activity is more important than just doing something for the sake of it. So yes, from the skill perspective, it helps you build on domain specific skill if it's a area specific exchange program, plus a lot of different things like teamwork, cooperation, understanding cultural differences, understanding different education system to where you're going to, adapting to new situations, a lot of skills to learn as an individual, which gives you an edge as well. So what you make out of that exchange program is very, very important than just doing it for the sake of exchange program.
Okay, Riddhi wants to know that except for BTech, what could be some other courses available for a science student?
Okay, so really BTech or engineering is one course you could look at. Now, when you say science student, I'm assuming you're talking about PCM, right? So you could also look at architecture. You can look at core pure sciences courses from say BSc Maths, BSc Physics to chemistry areas like those. You could also look at defense from Army, Air Force, Navy to even areas like aviation, commercial pilot, merchant Navy. If you're interested in computer technology, going into core areas like computer sciences, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, physical sciences, astronomy, all these areas are open for you with apart from BTech. If you're a PCM student, you could also explore, if you want to combine different domains like say design and technology, you could explore areas like automobile design to product design, UI UX design, areas like those as well. Or you're interested in management, finance, areas like fintech, and so on and so forth. A lot of other stream agnostic areas are open as well. I'm a little confused between MBBS and MBA. I belong to a general category, and it's very difficult for me to get a good ranking in college as well. What should I opt for? Again, MBBS and MBA are not competing right now because one is a master's degree and one you do after 12. So what I suggest students is first we focus on short-term plans, right? First, we finalize what we want to do, keep our backups, apply to university, prepare for entrance. For undergrad, what we need to do after 12. In the next, 3-4 years, a lot of things will change for you from your interest to your inclinations to the careers you want to go for. And then during that process, you could think of your master's later. Right now is a little early to be deciding that, oh, will I want to do MBA or not, right? That is going to come later. The next 4 years, a lot of things are going to change for you. So first, decide and work for your undergrad degree. If you're preparing for NEET, wanting to sit for MBBS, that's fine. I'll also suggest you to keep strong backups alongside with it. So your plan B, plan C should be ready as well. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes, ma'am.
Then I think most of the questions are answered by now.
yes.
Am I right? Hello, Urvi?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I think most of the questions have been answered by now. And thank you so much for your time. And I think we've come to the end. It was 5 to 6.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Sana, for answering all the questions so patiently. Even I had quite a broader perspective. If somebody asks me, I can at least guide them a little. Thank you so much for sparing your Sunday for us, Urvi and Sana. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. And thank you all the students and parents for joining in. Do reach out to us if you have any queries or you need any further support. We're all there. And of course, our team will keep visiting the school also. So we're all there to help you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.